the fun begins.
Interesting. It says that Elise's last activity was a week ago.
All right, we're going. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. A rough start.
So,
All right. Okay, guys, hang on.
along. Boom.
Hey, everybody. Okay, so let's start that right from the top, as if we had any, because everyone is telling me no audio.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Oh
this
my
way
goodness.
Elise can take it from the top instead.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Do we have audio now?
Yeah.
We're all good?
I'm seeing
here,
green
you're
lines.
here. We're all here? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the council. This feels really weird after Redna just did this, but it's all good. We begin tonight's meeting the council by calling the council to order. Hello to everyone, and thank you for joining us. The council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm Elise, and with me are my fellow council members. I'm going to start Redna, since you did all that work just like a minute ago. I'm going to call you out first. What up, Redna?
Why, hello, my friend. It's so great to hear you. I'm so glad we've gotten over our technical difficulties, the most frightening of which was the temporary loss of yourself.
Oh, you're
Yes.
so nice.
I mean, let's be honest. The public wouldn't mind if they couldn't hear me. It would be much more disconcerting if you weren't actually here.
Indeed. Oh, hold on. I'm allowed to agree with it.
What? No, of course not. Never.
And Magic Ace.
Hello. And if sometimes you in this broadcast can't hear me for a second, stay with me. Skype is giving me problems with my muting issue.
Fair enough.
I feel you. And Sakari.
Hello, everybody. They could hear me all the way from the start, so I was cool. I just happen to have you guys on mute, which I think it's okay that we started again, because everybody, we lost at least like not even 30 seconds before we went live, and then I don't think Redna was aware that I had unmuted, so I was saying, okay, we're ready to go. It was wheels off, but I believe we have recovered now.
This is crazy.
I
I
think
just
we're good.
love Windows updates. They're my favorite. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about a subject that, as many of you know, is near and dear to my heart, cosmetics, but especially decos. So we are going to be doing, this is the first part of a two-part series, talking about cosmetics in SWTOR. This episode we're going to talk about trends and decorations and how they compare over the live
and
video.
after our live broadcast, you can find our recorded episodes everywhere podcasts are found, like YouTube. You can also find us on our social media, which would be like Twitch and Facebook.com/CouncilSWTOR, and Twitter, which is @thecouncilswotor.com. We have this lovely website that Sakari works so hard on, which is thecouncilswotor.com. But wait, there's more. You can also find our awesome broadcasts and episodes on patreon.com/CouncilSWTOR. They're everywhere. They're awesome. And if you generally just want to use any kind of browser and search us, you can find us there. We will be there.
All right. Yes, welcome to everybody. Thank you, especially those of you who joined us early and right off the bat in chat. We appreciate you guys. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight with the icebreaker question. Usually, first we have the icebreaker. It's just a little question to kind of get things going, to get some discussion going. Usually, right after the icebreaker, we go ahead and get into like a community poll type segment. We're going to merge those tonight. So what is going to happen is I've actually already sent to chat the question that is the icebreaker tonight. We want you, as our viewers, to weigh in. So, the question is, Stronghold decorations in SWTOR have steadily been getting what? Is it A, better, B, about the same, or C, worse? So think about the trend. How are things lately in SWTOR decorations? Feel free to weigh in. A, B, or C is all you need to type into chat. And while the attendant, our resident chatbot, a courtesy of Lady Daney, is tabulating the results, We will weigh in on this ourselves, and then we'll visit what you guys think as a whole. So with that said, Elise, what do you think? Are we are decos getting better, or are they getting worse? Or are they somewhere in between?
Better. Way better. Did you need me to elaborate?
Sure.
Am I elaborating?
Well, I was hoping so.
I was going to say way better wasn't an option here.
I
You're going to have to
mean, I
explain.
This is decos, Elise. You need to carry the show tonight.
Well, I mean, as you saw in the show notes, I've got all kinds of things to say. Anyway, so I have not been compelled to buy very many of the early decos, really at all. So like decos about 4 years ago, I think, as I was sitting down doing some research, is when Strongholds came along, right? And that's when decorations started coming into the market. And I don't know if the, what are those called? The prefabs, if they predated, if they had decoration ones that predated that for your ships. I don't know. That's kind of before my time. There were Strongholds when I started playing this game, so I really didn't bother with my ship. But a lot of that old stuff is very like functional, like industrial sci-fi barrels and, you know, stuff, or very like power shows, data prompts, stuff like that, but not really like allowing you to run the gamut. I don't want to go too far in this because we're going to talk about it in the deliberation, but you have much more nuance with the new ones now, and there's things like plants. If anybody comes to my main stronghold, which is the Manon stronghold, I have plants everywhere. I went to the vendor, you know, the cheapo vendor, where you can buy like the plants on the wall and stuff, and I like spent like thousands of credits just buying those so I could put them on every flat surface on the outside part of my Manon stronghold because I like green.
Yes, I'm totally with you on that. I love the greenery is fantastic. I love plants.
Yeah.
It depends which one it is for me. Like the stronghold determines how much green I'm going to have.
Well, the Manon one is just one big floating box. So I'm like, we've got all the water, and then it's just this big floating metal box.
Yeah, it's metal. Yeah. You can't have a lot of metal out there because it lacks life. I wholly agree on that one. Yeah,
and I mean it's cold toe and healing and, you know, sea life, and I'm like, what's up with all this like box? So I have trees and plants, and I even slapped some of the plants that are supposed to be on the ground outside the Yavin stronghold. I just put that on the ground. I'm like, whatever. Have some field of weeds growing on top of my space deck. Whatever. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is. I agree. Like Manon definitely feels clinical. I think in a lot of ways, you have to do something to make.
Only because they have a room that says rooftop garden, and when you go out there, it's concrete or cement or whatever it is they use. Yeah. There's no garden, so I bought a crap ton of plants to put in there, and I'm like, now it's a garden, but it wasn't before. Just saying.
I have my two, my macabre thingies, the I keep thinking gondola, but it's not gondola. The macabre like canopies. Yes. You know what I'm talking about.
I have
two of those, and I slap both of them next to each other, so it kind of looks nice. And then I have plants all the way around and fountains in the corner. So I feel you, but obviously the magic is on the inside of the stronghold and not the outside.
Right.
Of course I am.
So Magic, tell me about you. What do you think is a trend? They've been getting better? They've been getting worse? Or somewhere in between?
I say A because I've mentioned this deco like maybe in 6 previous episodes. I'm going to mention it again because so far it still is my favorite deco. From the Christmas pack last year, I got the Umbaran train model, and it's like around the bottom, like the base of a hollow tree. Putting that on my Umbaran stronghold was so satisfying. You see the little model train moving around the bottom. I'm sorry, that was my favorite. But I'll say like the chairs and stuff have gotten better. Before you had those like little crappy square chairs. Magic Baby agrees. And now you've got like these elaborate thrones and chairs you can set down, and there's tables. And I went to a buddy's stronghold because he wanted to show me something, or I think I had crafted augments or something for him, and he had me come to his stronghold. So I'm like, okay. And I get there, and I'm like, what is this? There's a table you can click, and it looks like you're working on guns and like weapons and different things. And each time you click it, it's a new weapon that it looks like you're working on. I'm like, this is
cool
a
is that?
deco? And he goes, yeah, it's a deco. I'm like, I need this in my life now.
Interactive
Right now.
decos. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it was really sweet. And then, let's see, the other
Doesn't
one I
the
really like.
Pazak, don't they have the Pazak table? Doesn't that do it too? Did you
No, I
click
don't
on
think
that?
so.
It does it? There was
I don't
something
think
that
so.
came out in the last like year or two that you clicked, but I didn't think it was that one. But
The
go
only
on.
interactive ones that I can think of like that is the decorations you can have that are the like slot machine type things. Those ones do that, and you can actually get those specific decos. There's 2 slot machines. There's the one that doesn't interact, and then the ones that do interact. And you can buy the tokens from the vendor that comes when you do the Stronghold mission. But I don't have any of those. All I have is the ones that don't work. But I'll say like
There's also the gambling nightlife event decorations that interact where you like sing at the
yeah, I was about to
microphone.
say what I did the grinding last nightlife event so that I could get a couple of the floor things that you dance on, like you click it and there's dancing microphones. Because Sakari had this emote one time when we were doing this operation, and it was him singing. And I'm like, where did you get that? And
Oh,
he's like,
slash
"It's an
sing. Yeah,
emote."
it's great. It's
And I was
my
like,
favorite
I need
one.
this. So I got that.
It's
Well,
just
right
so
after
rock
that-
star.
Yes, and right after that, they put out the dance floor, and they had the lights and stuff from the ceiling that are like dance lights, and there's now different dance music you can buy. I bought all this stuff. My Embarn train, like first it's utility, and the next car is the party part. Like it's like you can go in there, go to your legacy bank, and then go party. Like it's a good time. Personally, I think the decos are getting better. I'm loving every bit about it. I would like to see more of the interactive things where, like I talked about the weapon stand, like the table. I would like to see actual chairs and tables, like you can sit down and do that. I've mentioned that before, but that's something that I'm still waiting on. And I think they can, because obviously we're seeing them do interactive things.
Right.
I can't wait to see if they go farther into it, because then it's like when you're sitting there crafting and you don't feel like doing dailies or whatever, it's so much cooler because you can literally be in your stronghold and do stuff in your stronghold. I'm personally okay with that.
Yeah.
I like it. My answer's A.
Yeah, I hate having to
Okay.
run to it like as a throne or a chair or something, and you have to turn around and get positioned just right, and then you have to do slash chair in order to sit down, and it may be like a stance when you sit down in the chair that is like wholly inappropriate for that kind of a chair that you're sitting in. Like it's not the kind of a chair that you'd lounge in, for instance. But there you are lounging, and this doesn't look right. It would be so much better if you can just go right click it and sit down on it like you. So yes, I entirely. Magic, Redna, what about you, sir?
There's one decoration that's important, and I have it in my tattooing stronghold on the landing pad, and it is the gunslinger ship. That is all.
Really? That's the gunslinger. Smuggler ship is a decently old deco. It's not a new one.
Yeah, I was at the launch. It was awesome. I had to work really hard to get all the mats to purchase it.
And that's like your pride and joy. And there's no other. Seriously, like you're like a total purist, a total Spartan on the decos.
It's the only one that I care about. I mean, I've got tons of wall decorations because of all the achievements that I've accomplished. And of course, you've got to make sure you've got a mailbox deco and a bank deco, which, by the way, are also interactive.
True.
And the various bank decos and the GTN deco, and then you have to have them all within reach of where you spawn into the stronghold. That way you don't have to move anywhere in order to buy, sort, and mail stuff. But beyond that, no, I mean, things have definitely obviously been getting better. You've got interactive ones in the PvP collections where you can pick up the hut ball and play hot potato. And this was even prior to the most recent stronghold that was released for Rishi. And, with all the new decorative stuff that came with that, it's pretty awesome. And I think the thing that is most compelling to me is to hear that there's a bunch of new decorations that were released with the most recent Flashpoint, and that people were really excited by that. Like, you actually had to go play content in order to get things that were desirable. I think that's great. I think that the one genuinely negligent aspect to Stronghold decorations since they were released into the game has been any means of genuinely crafting them. I would love to see a much larger diversity of options and I don't want to see, make this currency that you go then spend on some vendor. I'd actually like to see things be craftable. But that's just me. I've the crafting in general in this game has become more and more lackluster over time, in my opinion. But that said, I do think the decorations are better. I think the diversity is better, and particularly with the most recent deployments of them outside of the cartel market, I've been sincerely delighted.
Outside of the cartel market.
I have to agree.
So
with
the ones that you can loot off of
crafting.
bosses, etc. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like, I think I would generally agree as well. I would answer this A answer because I'm with you guys. Like, to me, in the beginning it was all static decos. So you'd have, boom, there it is. Now it's not just a table; it's a table you can interact with. So there is an aspect that they introduced into that decos is that there's certain ones you can interact with. There's other ones that are animated, which is really cool. In fact, one of the coolest thing, I went just capturing some video for tonight's show, and it's a shame that those of you guys who are listening on, actually listening to this via the podcast, won't necessarily be able to see this. I would highly encourage you to be able to jump on YouTube and see some of the videos that we took. But just I wanted to catch some of the animations that some of these have. One of them, let me just show the slide now because I think it's so cool. It's sometimes it's the subtlety that is really awesome. It's like the moving leaves, for instance. This thing looks like a, well, it's not playing now. I need to get. Give me a second and I'll get that figured out. But like the leaves that move are so subtle with it, and it's just.
Yeah, I actually like those decorations because it makes me think that there's something wrong with my stronghold. Like Dubs TFML, the HVAC isn't working right. Why is this plant moving so much? Who left the window open? But
there we go.
All I was thinking is, wow, that's cool, but to each their own. I personally love, my favorite decoration, I think, other than the Embarn train, is the waterfall ones that you can hang on the walls. I think those are the best. Because I remember there was a time when my computer would crash with all the water graphics. So now that I can look at them, I'm like, look how beautiful it is. Like the first time I went into the room before you get to Skyva, I crashed hard, even with the lowest graphics. So now I can appreciate all this. I enjoy it.
I agree.
I like I can actually show that too. There we go. So it's interesting when, like, I have all of these, and I'm worried that they're gonna, because they're all animated. I'm worried that when we show them, it's just gonna look like a screenshot, which I suppose I could get away with. But I wanted to catch like the waterfalls, which I'm gonna have to be careful here tonight. Make sure that I get OBS to cooperate with us. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Actually, beyond that, it just struck me. I mean, if I'm just going to go ahead and put out something that I'd like to see. We've seen, because they've done the constant increase in graphical capabilities, like with lighting and everything. And so in the decos, you have different light fixtures, right?
That's actually what I was going to say next.
You can get different light colors and everything. Well, something that would be really cool is if you could also install some fans that would interact with other decos, like some of the what are those wall hangings that you've got, like the Mando banners and stuff like that? Like make those things flutter on the wall, or put a flag up and then have a directional fan on a wall outside that actually makes the flag flutter, or or the plants like you were discussing. Something like that would be really awesome. But I bet it would be a wicked amount of new technical capabilities that they would need to actually design in the game first.
Yeah,
probably.
no kidding.
Which, all that's well and good. But I just want to put this out there just in case if anybody at BioWare may or may not listen to this. This stuff is all gorgeous and I would love all that, but don't let it hold back new content. Okay, disclaimer done. Go ahead.
Yes, no kidding. That's I think I agree that secondary do some of that. Although I don't know, some people, it just depends. It depends who you are as a person, right? If
yeah,
you play
depends on the
4
content.
strongholds, then you're gonna want this to be prioritized.
But let's be honest, most of these things are actually coming from assets that exist on different planets and different locations in the game. So there's really no reason why they shouldn't be able to, as they give us content, be giving us new decos, because they're creating new art assets for that new content anyway. Just make sure that it extends into what's available for us to use.
Right.
Well, if you think back to our conversation with Matt and Eric last week, when they said that they kind of sketch out the kind of the whole thing at the beginning, right? I mean, you have to assume if they're thinking about the story, then they're also thinking about what drops and whatnot.
Right.
So I mean, maybe there just needs to be more drops added. Do you know what I mean? Like, and there's probably going to be a balance. If they spend time doing that, then there might short something somewhere else. And I think some give and take there is not necessarily a bad thing, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
You know, maybe a little less with the, you know, whole new armor set and more decos for maybe this flashpoint, and then another one may be different, and then the next one maybe it's more fancy with the mechanics. I mean, I don't know. I imagine you got to put developer time on each one of those things, so a balance, and then everybody is kind of happy because everybody gets a little bit, as opposed to, you know, one group getting a whole bunch and another group who find that important a little less. But
Redna, I do actually like your idea of like wind interactivity. I imagine they had strongholds that had certain areas were windier than others. Like if you like closer to the outside areas on Nar Shaddaa, for instance. Can you imagine how cool it would be? Like if you hang like a waterfall deco close to out there, the wind would like sweep some of the water around. I think that'd be great. We do need to make sure that we mention that our poll that we asked chat to answer, overwhelmingly, we had 6 votes in favor of better. 1 said about the same and 1 said worse. Now, Redna, what were you? Because you couldn't decide between B and C, right?
I don't think I ever put anything in there, and I was just trying to be contrarian, but there was only one for B or C, so I couldn't vote for the other.
Don't you hate it when everybody selects all the options and there's nothing there for you?
You know, there's another reason why I could argue that it's better, and it's one that a lot of people wouldn't consider. And in fact, I've heard some people even complain against, which is that a lot of the stock chairs and tables and, you know, like basic furniture that you need in a room, there's, you know, sure, there's a lot of variety, but not all of it's that very exciting. But I've actually heard people expressly state that they get the most excited when they see a new chair that comes out, even if it's not super flashy or fancy. They just like the variance on a lot of those basics, because that's what makes them be able to build a stronghold that's unique to themselves, but also a little bit more realistic.
I have a whole room dedicated to all the Voss furniture. If there's something new Voss, I collect it immediately. My Yavin 4 Stronghold has a whole section of it that is just nothing but Voss. There's Voss, everything. And every time a new deco comes out, I'm like, mine. I must have it now. Even if it's a chair, if it's Voss, it's mine. One day, if I get a Voss Stronghold, it's going to be decked out in Voss, I betcha.
Right. I'm showing into our video now. This is for our audio listeners. A meeting room that was put together in one of our places. And it's just, I was looking earlier at this very thing. Just
that's 2 tables, right? They're the same table, but they create a T.
Yes, but it's legit. Kind of turned into like a Dark Council kind of room. But the ornate decoration on the chairs is what is really captured my attention on. Yeah, I mean, even for that matter, even on the tabletops, if you look at like, it looks like they're carved, which I think is just amazing. I definitely think, you know, because we were chatting about this a little bit as we were getting the show together tonight. I do think that by and large, there has been a great increase in like just how cool things are when it comes to environmental design, when it comes to all of the stuff, even armor sets. But we'll talk about that next. But yeah, I mean, like you can tell that BioWare's really been doing a good job lately on some of the design. At least that's my opinion. So, is there any aspect of this that you guys want to discuss particularly? Because we have a lot of different things going on here. For one, at least I do know that you were wanting, in a previous episode, your mantra was more decos. So I wanted to ask you specifically, more than anybody else tonight, how satisfied are you currently with the variety of stuff that's out there, the availability of stuff that's out there? Are you still saying more decos, or are you starting to feel better about this thing?
It's a nuanced more decos. I like the fact that they, I can appreciate what Redna said about the crafting of decos and not having to do, and I assume when you were talking about currency, you mean like the having to craft the prefabs and then turn them in. I assume that's what you're talking about, right?
Right, because you turned it into a vendor to get it, so it's effectively a currency.
Right. So I can appreciate that. Right. Most, like, the other, another game, I always have to bring up comparisons, but that I think just has amazing decoration crafting that you craft. and you run around and find the recipes in the wild, just like any other resource, is Elder Scrolls Online, and you actually craft a table, you craft a bed, you craft a wardrobe. That
Do you
is
have to
really
do that with
sad.
all the decorations there? Or
I
just some of
mean,
them?
yes, if you want them, and there's various levels, like there's green, blue, purple, and gold ones.
Oh.
And
Oh,
the
see,
rarity has to do with the colors.
I'm already stressed out with the crafting I'm doing right now, trying to gear up all these alts and trying to help gear up an entire raid team.
Right.
Nah, man.
Right.
Nah.
But
I don't
but
want it for decos.
but the thing is that, like, for me, I could care less about getting gear together for an alt team. Not, I'm not at all slamming you. I'm just saying that wouldn't be a priority. So I would happily do that instead.
Then did anyways. Just-
And to be honest with you, anybody who doesn't raid, which is a large population of this game, probably
Let's say
would find that-
90%.
exactly, find
Give or
that of
take.
value. And it's something that people who are free to play could theoretically do as well. So, and they get a whole,
Right.
crafter if they unlock it or prefer to whatever. And so decorating your stronghold really is something that the entire community can do.
Right.
If they want to. It's accessible.
And quite
Something
frankly,
out
in,
there.
in a much more collaborative space as well, because of the ability to do so in guild strongholds and their ships.
Correct. So, I mean, you've got a lot of different options there, and I think I really liked with Rishi that at least they went there. Yes, it is still currency based, reflecting what Redna said, but at least you can craft that. Prior to this, I mean, the old decos were old and old and boring. Okay, sorry, I had to say it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Did you say old?
Let me say it again. Old and boring.
Got
Um,
it.
So ageist.
and and with a lot of the flashpoints. So for Capera, some of my favorite decos are in that flashpoint. But you have to get either either the drops or to have a higher chance of the drops. You have to do it on master mode. I loathe master mode.
Right. And that was so
I
overtuned for
loathe
such a long time, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, well, I'll just get on the GTN and buy it. Well, because so few people wanted to play it, the rarity, and so it was just decos overall are really high on the GTN. And so you're choosing. So to answer your question, it's yes and no. I like the direction they're going with at least getting back into crafting and giving crafting not old and boring stuff from 4 years ago to do
So
with the Rishi thing. But I'd also like them to stop putting all the decos in the cartel market, and I'd like them to stop putting the barrier to get them so high.
something I'm thinking of as we're discussing this that I think would be a really fun way to inject them back into the crafting would be that you remember they used to label all of these different ones. The least desirable ones were bronze, and then they had their silver and the gold and whatever. It would be cool if they took from all of those old packs that they no longer offer, that are only bronze anyway, that aren't desirable. That would be a cool way to jumpstart the actual crafting market, right? Take all of those bronze ones and give them to the different crafting. So, like, the tables or whatever could be cybernetics or something. I don't know. I'm just pulling it out of the air, right? The cloth oriented objects like banners and stuff like that could be the synth weaving, and more solid things could be, I'm running out of examples in my mind because I don't play with decos so much, but pulling those things from the bronze and then redisseminating them as craftable plans for specific classes would be a really cool way to to set up a whole baseline. And that to me would be something expansion worthy, a whole new dynamic where you could be crafting specific things for specific crafters, and you would have so many resources to be able to draw from to be able to use that. And then you could even reinsert some value on some of the cheaper crafting materials, because you could have, materials that you need across the board. It doesn't all have to be at the highest crafting material. It could be from beginning level on up. Just a thought, but I think that would be a really cool way. And also, to pull things off of the cartel market that, people say, oh, only anything ever goes out of the cartel market. Well, hey, listen, yeah, but maybe in sometime in the future, because we've set this example, we can also then, redisperse it later.
No, I mean, that's a fantastic idea. So the background I came to this game with was Star Wars Galaxies, where absolutely every single decoration, I mean, minus just a few that you'd get out of quests or something, was entirely supplied by the crafting community. So it's such a change to see. I mean, to me, it's a real waste if across our disciplines we can craft the currency that you then take to a droid and buy it from the droid. That to me just kills the whole. Why not I just buy the currency for credits somewhere? It's just like it just kills the whole mood. If I craft something, I want to have an item when I'm done. That's useful.
Right. I agree with you.
Exactly.
And not only that, but you have to have, so you have to have like all the different crafters to be able to actually effectively do that.
Right.
You have to make the universal prefab, you have to use 2 or 3 different crafting categories to
3.
make that. I really only got 2 because I just couldn't be bothered. I leveled 2 crafters and I was like, oh my God, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So
Right.
I have 2. So then I have to sit here and I have to go on the GTN to go buy the other pieces so that I can make the universal prefab on my the one I have.
And you know what? More often than not, the universal prefab is selling for cheaper than the subcomponent.
Yes.
Right? You just go buy the prefab, which further disengages you from crafting. It's just like, what a waste of time.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just, that's really irritating. But the other piece that kind of feeds into this that I put in the show notes, but for me, when I first started playing this game and I started getting into decorating, the Strongholds, and I think what was my first one? The Coruscant one, because I started on pub side.
Right.
That I loved that Stronghold. I liked the Imperial one even better because of the rain. I thought that was even pretty, but both of them. But like, I go to look at the decorations, and everything was just basically this kind of almost black and white binary choice to me. That was the feeling that I got all the time. It was either, look at my awesome power, I am Sith or Imperial, right? And here, let me put all these boxes and computers on the wall, or
a droid
vents. Yes, or these freaking shelves that I have out in my garage that I got from Walmart that
Rack
are
and
metal.
stack. No kidding. I know exactly which one you're thinking about.
Yes, those are my choices. And then on the other side, if I wanted to go like Jedi, maybe I want to do like a meditative, spiritual, whatever. Well, it's only sitting there meditating, and then a bunch of Republic like propaganda stuff. Like those are my 2 choices. I'm like, where's my? I want to chill, do a face mask, and reflect about what I've done the last week, like Mystique for my Jedi counselor. Where's that?
I want a hot tub, and I want bubble bath.
Right.
I need a larger variety of male dancers. I just want to put that out there. I need to objectify more than just male Twi'leks. Can they do something about that? I'm just saying. I mean,
Dude,
there's a lot of shits out there.
Give me an outdoor stone swimming pool that I can get the Yavin Force waterfall to cascade into, and then I could just set my guy to start doing laps,
See, I mean, just like, my favorite character in KOTOR was Jolie Bindo, because I really like that whole idea where he talks about nobody's completely light or dark. Everybody's really should be somewhere in the middle. And I like, when I first started, it was almost impossible to be able to
that
go.
That just sounds like an easy way to not commit to me. I mean, all I'm saying is, if you can't commit, go gray, right?
Honestly, that's really hard to do in this game anymore, though. I mean,
I don't know.
You get penalized if you go in the middle anymore. But yeah, so that's I like them going with the hanging plants and the the cool tables and the new rugs and the waterfalls and, the interactive stuff.
The next stronghold they do needs to be a shack in the woods. There's like 4 hooks on it, and the rest of it's all exploration.
I'm sure.
That'd be great. I'd be happy with that.
That would be such a letdown. After having Rishi, you get to do all the like thing with Speedy and Scritchy, and then they're like, "Here's a cabin with 4 hooks." I'd be like, I want my money back.
We threw this
Yeah,
together on the weekend. It's just like it was some teenager's project.
I didn't buy Rishi and I didn't buy Yavin 4 because they were too overwhelming. Manon was the right size for me. The only crappy thing with Manon is the hooks are kind of weird. But I really would like to.
I want a shark. Why wasn't there a shark deco? They put this huge hooks outside and no Phyraxan shark. I mean, come on. If this is supposed to be KOTOR 3,
there is one out there.
Shark.
Have you looked carefully?
But you can't like put it. It's not a decoration. It's a part of the background, so you can't like move it or put a different kind of shark or a different size of shark. It's just there. It's not a
no, I can agree with that. I think you can't control it in any, at least control its placement.
But I liked Manon because it was different. It was in the middle of the water and it was my size. Right. And I'm done. I'm not buying.
Yeah, at least I'm with you on that as well. I prefer the smaller strongholds. Like I like them. They're a lot more cozy. These gigantic ones are cool if you like gigantic strongholds.
I was going to say all those massive decos. Yavin 4 was made for that. They're everywhere.
Right, but that's the thing though. I don't like the big giant ones because they're hard to decorate around unless you just want that here's my big giant statue in the middle of my thing. Well, maybe that's not the mystique I'm going for. The other ones that are big are like the pools and stuff. Those are expensive. They're only CC things. I would like them to do a little bit. And when Manon came out, they had so many centerpiece like hooks. Just crazy. But anyway.
Now, fortunately, you can sometimes switch out centerpieces for other designs, but by and large, I am not much a fan personally of the alternatives to centerpiece hooks. Like if I don't want a centerpiece right in the middle of this room, let me change it to something else. Well, I'm not, there's like a bunch of large hooks instead. It's like, well, that's not that cool. I want more granular.
Put their 5 cantina tables, like, come on.
Yeah, but see, that's why they need to give you more opportunities to be able to, again, I'm saying this like I think it's easy, which I don't.
This is why I like the Tatooine Stronghold, because while it is large, the first room you unlock is the balcony over an expansive open space that you also gain access to. So you've got these giant hooks, you can spend your time on the balcony and on the 2 rooms that adjoin it, and then you can see all of the big ones that you want to put out there. Like you can actually see these big decos that you put out, but then you never actually have to go out and explore because, okay, sure, there's like a dozen other little rooms under the sand out there, but who cares about those rooms? They really aren't important to the aesthetic of the whole stronghold.
You know what, Redna, though? The biggest drawback, though, to the Tatooine Stronghold is the sand.
Oh my gosh, let's not go there, please.
Because it's rough and irritating and it gets everywhere.
I love it.
Sorry, also that coming. I apologize so badly. I just couldn't not take that opportunity.
It was so obvious. That's why you don't take it. Anyways, since that was off topic.
I just ruined the whole episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just said it.
Oh my goodness.
So, can we talk about PvP decorations now that we have a PvP stronghold?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I have a few things to say about that.
I haven't even tried this out. So Magic, have you actually done some experimentation with line of sight functionality with these PvP decos, etc.?
Yes, and I will say this. The PvP decos are for the PvP area due to the fact that just random decos you put down in there for line of sight can actually cause problems. Like you can get caught in your decos and /stuck may not work. So it was really funny watching. I just realized I'm talking really loud. I should turn my own sound down. Okay, here we go. So I used some of the decos that you could place that was for PvP, and it was actually really cool. I really enjoyed it personally. And then right afterwards, I was like, I wonder what else you could put down. And I have a hut ball stand that was before the Rishi Stronghold ever came out. And so I put that down because I thought it would be fun. And it is, but again, it doesn't interact. It's not like it's supposed to be a stationary deco for any of them. It's not like it interacts specially because you put it in the PvP Stronghold, which was a little disappointing, but still fun. I just found that you need to use the actual PvP decos for it to be like really great, unless you just have a random wall. Like there's a couple of decos that are just walls. Those worked well, but I found any of them that you could like jump on or stand on or anything, like a lot of times they got caught. Like your character was just hanging in that awkward bike riding position the Juggernaut sometimes uses. So I would say if you're going to do PvP decos, do PvP decos. Don't just do random decos in the PvP area because, first of all, it does look weird to PvP like that. Second of all, I found in my experiments that they didn't function well. Maybe you find some that do function well for you. Congratulations, but the specific decos I've used, it just causes more trouble than it does making the PvP fun. In fact, it actually makes it annoying because then you're an easy target for the people trying to kill you when you're stuck. So I like the new ones. I will say, though, they are more expensive to craft than I was hoping for and to buy, like, the prefabs. I went and crafted a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, this should get me a lot of things. Then I'm like, or not. So
well, the MK4 prefab market on Satil Shan just crashed. I was expecting it to be a decent economy there because I was watching it carefully, and it last I saw it was like down to like 38K for an MK4. It just made it not worth any participation. I got out of that in a hurry, but it's probably a good time to buy because later on, I guess you could sell that stuff. Who knows? Who knows what the market's going to do with it?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like PvP decos. Those are the ones that are exclusively available from the new crafting droid, correct? The only one. Those are the only place you can buy them with the Mark IV
yes.
prefab kits, universal prefab.
So far,
kits.
Yeah. So far from what I can tell, yes, that's the only ones I've seen them on.
Except the old PvP ones that. Oh wait.
But they're not. Right. They're not the same way, and they've changed the prices on them.
Yeah.
So like the
how do you get those anymore?
You can go to like where you get the guild ship and stuff like that. Like there's a dude who has tokens from like PvP. Like you can do it with PvP, and I think it's the tokens from Starfighter, I guess, because it's the only currency in the game I don't have. So I assume it's Starfighter. And you can buy like ships and stuff like that in the Hutball stand. I bought like 3 of the Hutball stands, but they were on different servers. And so when the server merged, I have 3, and supposedly you're only supposed to have 1 or something like that. So it says I have 3. And I went to buy another one. I was like, well, I'll just see how much they are because I was going to buy them for my PubSec guild. And I was like, holy guacamole, Batman, 2.5 mil. I know I didn't pay that before because I'm always broke. How much did I pay?
I used Warzone comms back in the day.
That's what I thought. Like it's totally different now. But back then I bought like it was no big deal. And now I'm like, why is this so expensive?
That's because the person that bought it back then has sat on them until now and is now finally selling it, which is a really smart move. But granted, like there's so much risk involved with that, playing the market that way. You never know what's going to happen in the future. You just have to be going through your stronghold, you're going through your cargo bay one day. Oh my goodness, I've had this since I don't know how long. Now's a good opportunity to sell this. But
I saved a couple of armor sets. I saved a couple of armor sets that was from a cartel pack from before Rise of the Hutt Cartel came out. And I sold them, I guess before, it was after Revan, but before Knights of the Fallen Empire, I think. Anyways, I ended up making a huge chunk of change off of that. And then a couple other like random weapons I had sold really well. And I was like, I got lucky because most of the stuff in those like crates are crap now.
Right. Yeah, indeed. So let me ask you guys about animations with some things. I have a few slides that I'd like to show while we do this. One of the things that I think is really cool, and some of the decorations that I've seen lately is like lava that they've animated it very much like water. So like the lava will flow, which I think is fantastic. Let me just make sure to going here. There, for instance, is a slide of lava flowing around a statue. This is on a guild ship, which I just think is amazing. Just such a great look to it. Very cool there. Um,
Well,
so
even their pictures have gotten better. Like used to, it was just your like achievements, like your trophies, and now there's actual pictures and artwork. Especially like the Capero one. I love that one.
right.
Those are nice. But that's again where you can see that kind of progression from kind of almost a single-minded vision of what people were going to do with their strongholds, and maybe them seeing people posting their strongholds on tour decoration and stuff like that has influenced this move to more interactive things, more greenery, more interesting like wall things besides just your trophies that you're putting out that you got from.
Yeah. I love
Or
it. I love a good
even-
banner. And I like that they are deviating from like here's a standard square shaped banner. They're like more arrowhead shaped now, and there's some complexity in the folds, the way that it hangs. I think that's really cool. There's some really cool ways that they're animating and or, you know, that they're texturing things. I think it's
And I just wonder with if there's anything, if there was any influence or thought about how they made the changes to how much decorating your strongholds has to do with conquest when they changed that. If that either is then precipitated the change for the decorations because now people can't really put 300 meat trees in an entire stronghold.
right. Finally, there's no
calling them-
incentive to.
Right. So people maybe are being more deliberate. Well, if you're going to encourage that behavior, then you actually have to give them something to be deliberate about.
Listen, my placement of meat trees is very tactful. Okay, why you come at me like that? It's a good placement. You don't know. You've not been there. Okay,
I'm
sorry.
sure it is. Did the meat trees come back for this year? By the way, I
don't
haven't
think
really.
so.
Not that I've noticed.
Okay.
So
Halloween
my
is
main
next
question.
week.
Wait, what did they come back for?
It's for
Was
Halloween.
it tied to
They
something? Oh,
bring
is it
it
a Halloween
out.
thing?
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything but the meat trees.
So this
should've
is
been
a
out
very
by-
important question though. Like this is philosophically very important to this whole meat tree discussion. If meat grows on trees and you eat it, are you therefore a vegetarian?
Yes.
This feels very much like this sand getting everywhere question about tattooing.
Or like
it
this
actually
debate about
grows
is
on-
The
is
three
water
of you
wet or whatever.
talking about your meat and how you like to eat it just makes me a little uncomfortable, okay?
Well, I mean, we asked you earlier, but you said you were abstaining, so.
Darn tootin'.
I will
Darn
say
Now
this:
for good
that
reason.
food is often called meat of tree. So, thank you very much. You could still be a vegetarian.
So let me ask you guys about planetary themed things. Let me say this: I am sick to death of Iocath. I'm sick of Iocath. I don't want to see Iocath again because like there's so much Iocath stuff that's out there. Not like I'm gods of the machine to death, and with it has been whole deco stings that you get everywhere. Everything's Iocath, Iocath, Iocath. I'm really looking forward to Ossus, and I'm hoping that they're actually, you know what, Elise, I'm hoping that with Ossus comes some of the more meditative type of environmental type of deco that you were mentioning. I'd love to see some of that.
Nathema had some good ones. I put a couple of links to some pictures. They have trees that grow off your wall. The hanging trees and the hanging plants. They had a bunch of that kind of stuff for Anathema. So if they can keep that going with Capera, I would love it. Bring me more environmental stuff. But I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what an Iocath deco looks like. Honestly.
Really?
Because I finished that story and I said, see it, wouldn't want to be it. And I haven't been back. So
What is Iocath again?
It's the droid planet that Scorpio became a part of, assuming you were nice to her.
Oh.
Yeah,
That was the one that
Chase.
they did the daily areas that nobody does with the interactive stuff that was actually really cool and innovative but completely uncompelling.
Yes, sadly.
Okay.
I'm surprised people did not want to smash their fellow players with a large robot.
I think it was more that they were afraid of being smashed than not wanting to smash.
I thought it had something to do with glitching or something. I remember people complaining about that the PvP area didn't work correctly
People
or
complaining?
something.
No.
I know, right? That's amazing. But again, since I don't do open world PvP, I can't really speak with any authority on that. But um, yeah, so that's a shame because they did try and be um, try something new and different. That took time for people to make that.
Right.
But I just can't. I get lost in IOCAP. It all looks the same.
Yeah.
Every
I'm
corridor,
glued to the
every
map
hallway
on
looks exactly the
ICAF.
same. Yeah, and so I can't stand that. And I don't like Tatooine for kind of the similar, or Hoth for exactly the same reasons. There's
Yeah,
sand
Tatooine and
everywhere.
Hoth are just so expansive, flat, and just monotone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Which is
I
interesting because that's what I like about them. Especially Hoth. I love to just drive out and explore, and it's like, the only way I know where I am is with a map. But then again, I'm an explorer at heart, so that for me is actually enticing. But I just find it interesting that how things you hate I like, because we're so diverse in a sense.
right, but I like exploring too. It's my second most the second
Okay.
most common thing that I like if you look at my Bartle thing, but I don't want to see the same thing over and over and over again, and that's where
Right.
we diverge. For me, if I could drive anywhere in one direction on Tatooine or Hoth that looks the same as where I started, there's a challenge, and I think maybe that's what you respond to, of trying to figure out where exactly on the map you are. And that's what entices you, but for me, I want to see something new. And so I don't
Okay.
want to drive I don't want to see the same thing for 10 minutes of driving in my speeder.
You know what I want to see on a Star Wars planet, either in a movie or, in a video game or whatever. I would like to see a planet that wasn't just a mono environment. Like, give me something that isn't a planet-wide desert or a planet-wide ice sheet or a planet-wide whatever. Like, give me
Bell
something
service.
that might have some Earth-like diversity.
Right. No, that's true,
Right.
because they take them from, hey, Earth has desert and Earth has jungle and Earth has, so each of those become its own biome, and then they make a whole planet out of a biome. This is a
Right,
city.
and you
This
would
is
think that you
right.
might learn from, like, Earth, that maybe, a single biome does not a world make.
Right.
Right. It's just that for some reason just doesn't seem to be in the Star Wars universe. Now, if we go back to BioWare products, Dragon Age has lots of different environments in their world, Inquisition especially.
Right.
You had jungle, and you had rainy coastline, and you had ice, and you had desert, and those were all different areas that you visited through the main story quests. That was just awesome.
In all honesty,
Wait,
this
you know
diversity.
something else I would
Okay.
love to see too, and then I'll let you go. I'm sorry. But the other thing I don't see very often in this game is you driving along, and then boom, here's a big giant like Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Yep.
massive diversion.
Like on Goro
Yeah.
Crater in World of
From-
Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want to see, Sakari. I think maybe to better
Sure.
explain like what
Right. So
I
some
look for.
diversity in the landscape. Right.
Correct.
Absolutely. Well, so
Okay, go
hey,
ahead.
like as an explorer, like that Guild Wars 1 was really good for that kind of stuff for me. Happen upon amazing things, and then you go down there and explore it and find things there that are. That's partly kind of why it's something that I wish they would bring back. Actually, is the exploration of Datacron in this game. It gave you having to struggle against an environment to go achieve something. I think it was. We are mightily off topic, given that we're supposed to be talking about.
I don't know. I think when we're talking about environmental things, for me,
Sure.
when we're talking about planetary decorations, which don't actually seem to be in the game very much anymore, although they did bring some back with the most recent
Goodness, how awesome
prefab
would it
things.
How awesome would it be if you could actually do something like that, though, where you could, in one of these strongholds that has a big open space, instead of putting down a giant statue, invert that it actually opens something up for you to go down into. That you could do the other direction on environmental design. It would be really interesting. Split open the Earth on Tatooine. Where you could actually fall down into a crag or something.
Now there are a lot of those on Tatooine. Just to make sure that we're fair to the
Right.
game. I mean,
Which
like
I'm saying,
Tatooine
take
has
some
its
inspiration from
crevices.
that.
Yeah, but I think Redna's talking about more of that you could put a crevice on your stronghold,
In
which
your
you can't.
stronghold.
Oh,
Right.
like as a
Yeah, which you
deco,
can't do now.
or like it's
Right,
already
it
in
would
there.
be a deco. Instead of a giant statue
Wow.
deco, you've got a cut a hole into the ground deco, you know?
Yeah, like a massive alteration in the Stronghold landscape, which is installed into
Ugh.
the deco. That'd be awesome.
That makes me go, oh no, 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 because that means they'll be like putting them in random places, and I'll accidentally put one down, and my character will fall in the hole, and then I'll have to undo the deco to pull myself out
You
again.
log
and
out, and then on a different character, you make the change,
Dude,
and then you log back in on the
have
first
you
character.
not put one of those giant phone booth shaped things that doesn't have a door right where people spawn so that they spawn into your stronghold and can't move? Because I've done that.
No.
That's
What a
really funny.
troll.
It's you spawn in and you're in a Bacta tank, and you're like, what am I doing here?
Exactly.
Really funny.
Wow, didn't know I could do that.
I'm gonna I may go experiment
Things
with
you
this also.
gentlemen come up with. Just like,
Well, or you get, you make walls so that, okay, they spawn in, but they're stuck in a box because the decorations all overlap, around them. Like take a bunch of bookshelves and stuff. Or, it's fun. The one thing that I did want to talk about that came up in the chat room that's a good way for us to segue into next week is an excellent design feature that I would really like to see implemented into Strongholds is mannequins. Mannequins that I can put outfits on. We've got all of these different outfits, right,
Ooh,
for our
wow,
characters.
that's a
I would
great
love
idea.
a mannequin to showcase my outfits.
here, here.
And that way,
Ugh.
that way your suits of armor become decos as well.
Yes.
Exactly.
So we
Right?
could have like a legit fashion show. Okay, I'm only okay with that if it's craftable, and that's the only way to get it. And the armors you put on it, you have to already have unlocked, or you've crafted yourself. Because I don't want to just be able to drop an armor on this random thing and then come in on a different character and be like, oh, actually, I just want that armor. Because
I
then
absolutely agree.
Right,
You
yeah.
should
Yeah.
not be
It's
able
not
to
a
display
transfer.
an armor piece that you haven't owned yourself.
Right.
Right.
You
I
have to-
think if it's not been crafted,
Unlock it
it's-
across your legacy as a requisite to be able.
Collections or whatever.
Well,
yeah.
but I mean, like in Skyrim, you get those depending on which house that you get. You get mannequins, and you don't have. I mean, they didn't do it that way. It was just whatever armor you have. So if you get like planetary ones, you could do that with.
Mm.
But certainly, it should be one that you own, as opposed to, oh, I pulled this out of collections in here. Let me put it on the mannequin to see how it looks. Like that would be kind of weird.
Well, you own it if it's in collections. I mean, especially
Well,
if
I
you've unlocked
know,
it
but-
across your
But
legacy.
you could preview it too, though, without owning it in collections. I do that all the time, so I can
True.
see if it looks good before I buy it. So,
I think we're going to have a great discussion next week when we get into armor sets, because what we're going to do is speak about the evolution of armor the same way that we're speaking about decos this time. So it's a two-part series on cosmetics and the different ways
Now,
that
this
we get
isn't
to
just
engage.
armor, right? Because we should also be including weapons, because then we
Sure.
can start talking about tunings.
Yeah,
and stuff.
anything that contributes to the
Sure.
look of your character. And I also want to spend some time next week kind of talking about mixing and matching things to come up with a non-stock armor set. Like, hey, BioWare goes, here you go, here's the blah, blah, blah set. And you put the set on and you look like BioWare wants you to look. Well, there are some amazing people on Tor Fashion and all over the place that piece together these really unique looks. And I see them on Twitter all the time. And they've got a picture of their character and I'm like, ooh, how did you get that look? Because I want to try to do something like that. And I'm regularly asking people, I love your character's look. How do you do that? So I'd let a little bit of splicing, right? Mixing and matching. And Magic Ace, I bet you're going to be really good at this discussion next week. 'Cause you do a bunch
Yeah.
of that to
as a
achieve looks.
preview, I took one single belt that had like this glowing purple like vibe to it from the dark side vendor, and I put it with an outfit that it was like it's Jedi robes that I dyed black and purple, and this belt that glows purple out. It like starts at the center and like fans its way out. I'll have pictures of it for next week. But it's
Awesome.
actually really freaking sweet. And don't be afraid to use your own crafted stuff, okay? I'm saying it looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into announcements real quick because we are at the hour and we need to wrap it up. Just a couple things on our schedule or on our radar. One of them is Extra Life coming November the 3rd. So just we've spoken about it before. Unholy Alliance is a guild and friends get together every year, pretty much around this time in November. Raise some money for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. It's awesome. Elise, do you have a number? Can you remember what the current number is on how much has been raised?
I was not prepared to bring information of that
I'm
nature
totally dropping that on you, but it's
show?
like it's like
She's like, how rude.
12,000 or something. It's kind of up there. I mean,
Oh, you mean like we have raised to date
all together, yeah.
over the years? I think it's closer to 18.
So, I mean, like, it's a big thing, and we are all very
18,000?
passionate about it. And on November the 3rd, we are doing Extra Life. There's going to be, I read, are you going to be streaming this whole thing, like, right from the start to the end? Usually you do.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm going to stream some of it. We're going to be having some fun. So, Extra Life, November 3rd, mark your calendars. We want to make sure everybody is there. And well, I'm sure we'll talk about it, like, in a lot of detail, like the week before it happened. Stay tuned for the council as well.
Jem has been tweeting stuff out on her account and the Unholy Alliance Guild's Twitter as well. Kind of.
It's UA Guilds on Twitter.
Yes, kind of advertisements for each one of the events I think have been going out.
By the way, I'm a contestant in one of them, just saying.
Well, awesome. That is awesome.
Yes. Thank you, Kidley. He found the info for us. It's 13 over the last 4 years that we've.
All right. There we go.
Very cool. So it's fun to be a part of. And there's a lot of different ways to participate. Giving money is not the only way. Show up for the events. The more people that show up for the events, the more fun they are. So show up for those. If you're a streamer, stream this stuff. Get word out. Like help us get other people to know about it, because the more people that know about it, the greater our chances of raising money for the Children's Miracle of Network Hospitals.
Right.
So definitely want to get word out there. Another thing we need to mention is SWOTOR Unite is coming. Now, there's some stuff that's been said on Twitter, I believe. I think Marcus of the Working Class Nerds podcast is working with Dr. SWOTOR of UtiniCast to get together, everybody that's podcasting right now in SWOTOR, to do a 16-man run, I think, on Gods from the Machine, right? It's going to be the idea. That's what we're all going to be doing. We're going to try to survive this.
Yes.
I think that's coming November the 10th. So
please, I'm healing. We'll be fine.
Well, I'm tanking, so we won't. So there you go.
Well dressed.
It's Gods from the Machine. I have never been able to beat Isaacs, and I'm tanking this thing. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research.
I did in Group Finder the other day. What was it, yesterday? Something like that, yeah.
Did you win?
Yes.
Congrats.
But someone knocked one of the tether droids off the edge. Don't do that, because you need the tether droids to beat the puzzle to get the Isaacs.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
gosh.
we're 16 manning it, so I feel a little bit better about that. The 16 man is definitely more forgiving. So
because it's not chaotic with 8.
That's twice as possible for somebody to do something stupid like knock a tether off the edge.
That's also true.
I had to use my sword knockback to get the droids in the right position. It took at least 15 minutes just to do the first door. Oh my gosh.
Well, I promise you that's gonna be a blast, because all of us are comfortable with like being out there as public personalities, and I think it's gonna be a blast. I think only Dr. SWOTOR is going to be streaming this, correct? I think he's Dr. SWOTOR on Twitch. Okay.
The goal is that he will be streaming it so that we can focus most of the views in one, but that all of us should be hosting it.
Oh, because the origin was everybody should. I intend on streaming it.
I and a few
no
other
one's
people
told me otherwise.
Well, I figure it's one of those things like we want the cohesive views in one channel, because the whole point of this is to unite us, and if we're all individually streaming it, we're not uniting the community together. So therefore, we're putting it in one channel with everyone hosting.
I'm still.
I didn't know we were
still gonna do some shameless
plugs. I thought we were uniting the podcasters.
Oh, who knows? It's gonna be a blast either way.
This is why Dr. SWOTOR asked me to do all the talking when we were on the show. I'm just saying.
Yes. Incidentally, in case anybody doesn't know, Magic Ace was recently. You know the episode number at all? I wouldn't know if I were you, but like Magic Ace recently guested on UtiniCast to talk specifically about.
We
do
go
check
Brenda was
that
there
episode.
too. But
was there too.
You guys were all there?
Yeah,
no,
just me and her.
Just Magic.
They wanted the better half. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, the
Well, since I'm
burn.
part of that, I'll agree, but I don't know if that's true.
It's not. It's
So-
full of crap. Anyways.
Those are the announcements.
So we would like to say thank you so much for everybody who came to listen to us and to watch us and to participate and to lurk. You lurkers make this possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are all awesome. We appreciate you. We'd also like to say a special thank you to our patrons. You all are wonderful, and we love producing content for you, and we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone, even the haters on Reddit.
And that brings us to the end of the show. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor. You can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35, Magic Ace at themagicAce, me at R3DN4, and Sakari at I am Sakari. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where patrons can catch the articles we're talking about behind the scenes and exclusive backstage access to our after show chat.
Oh, yes.
That's it for this week, guys. I hate no, just kidding. I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.